Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back to the planet at no cost to you, and there's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement. Only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
The Bachelorette and Friends. From first love to happy ever after.
What's that?
From dating to dick pics.
Oh my.
Oh no! The Bachelorette and Friends. Oh, I love a good dick.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Bachelorette and Friends. I'm Carla Anita Matiazzo, and to my left is the gorgeous Lainey Jameson.
Hello.
Hey, Lainey, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks.
Awesome. How's your week been?
Oh, it's been pretty chill, pretty relaxed. Thanks.
Oh,
How about
man. Fucking hectic.
So, well, I'm taking it for the team.
Yes. Sweet. Today, our guest is the beautiful Yolandi Bester. Yolandi is a South African theatre technician and actress, currently in Melbourne to further her training in TV and film acting. You can often find her patrolling Port Phillip beaches with a book and a balaclava, barking at nearby children. But don't worry, she's house trained. I fucking love that little introduction. That's so excellent. I didn't write it. Yolandi did, everybody. So I'm giving that credit.
You're welcome. This is what technicians do. We step up when the performers are like, I don't know. And then we're like, I got you. I got you.
I gotcha. Thank you so much for coming on today, Yolandi.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so stoked.
Sorry, I'm just dealing with some, I'm making sure you're nice and loud so we can hear you. Should we tell everybody how we had our meet cute, how the three of us met? Should we share that? Yes,
please. Give some context so that people don't think I'm a mail order Russian bride or something.
Why would people think that?
I don't know. I feel like I give off that bought and sold energy. That's going to get me cancelled.
Buy me vibe. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, essentially. I feel like in this economy, it's the only solid sort of career choice left.
I love that so much. Okay, so Yolandi, how about you give us what your first impressions of Lainey and I were when we first met, and then we'll go around the room, I think.
For me, I mean, not to sound dreary, but it was just like, it was another day at the office. We were setting up for Fringe in one of the venues, and you guys came in, and I came into the room. I was still kind of, I was on my own, I think, at that stage. Mm-hmm. And I just remember kind of feeling really settled. Like usually when a new group comes in, you're kind of, frenetic and nervous because it's new people, you don't quite know what to expect. But with you guys, I just felt settled because, your director, Vince, was it?
Yes, we're giving you a shout out already, Vince, yeah.
There you go. He took charge immediately. Everybody introduced themselves, which is always nice because sometimes, the talented performers, they kind of keep themselves away from tech. And I kind of like to know everybody that's sort of working in and around. And like I said, Vince just really came and spoke to me, asked me what I was able to do, especially in the space, which is kind of something that people have to adapt to. It's not what anybody expected it to be. And he was really flexible with it. It's a dun dun dun. And the way that he pivoted around sort of that huge curveball that we threw at him, I really respected him for it, because he gave me the outline, he gave me the script and what he wanted me to do, and then he let me do my job, which is the best thing a technician can ask for. Yeah,
there's been so many times where shit's going wrong, as did with our show often, this Fringe, but Vince is, when he's there, I feel like shit will get sorted because he's fantastic in those kind of scenarios. He's really good. And because he knows me super duper 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 well and has for like 2 decades, he can read me really quickly. And he just jumps in and knows when and how to take charge if need be or when need be. So yeah, Vince, I'm so grateful to have him on board. Shows. Well, that's really nice to hear that you felt really settled and that a lot of that is, which is great. I, as you know, we had so many things go wrong during that time, during the Fringe, and definitely when you weren't in the room and you weren't in charge of the tech. And look, our tech wasn't complicated. Like, I don't... Yolandi, do you think it was...
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, Vince could have added a lot of bells and whistles to it, despite, you know, the kind of the limited tech that we had, because we did have shows that had like all of the bells and whistles and all of the problems. And like I said, Vince just pivoted and he adapted to the room, and he made it so that the lighting really enhanced and just supported the story. He wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take this room and I'm going to make it some type of strobe light show, which some of the people did, which really didn't work. It detracts from the space and detracts from the person. Yeah. So in that sort of sense, he made a really great call to just keep it clean, keep it simple, and really have the focus on you and the story. And that made all of the difference.
Yeah, I think that's why it went so well. I think like audiences, I don't know how you feel, Lainey, but audiences definitely did not know the shit that was going on behind the scenes. That I don't think they would have fucking known.
As they shouldn't. Yeah, hopefully. If I do my job, they fucking won't know.
That's it. Lainey, how did you feel when we first got in the space? And because Yolandi, it felt like Yolandi was part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Right from the word go.
Yeah.
Felt very, and I felt very settled and in good hands.
Yeah, we knew that. Because sometimes we had like fucking 2 minutes to turn around when we were supposed to have half an hour. Sometimes in those situations when you were like, when Yolandi was in the room, we just knew, okay, we knew what our jobs were and she just got on with it, which was amazing.
And so supportive too. You know,
100%.
And I mean, that's so nice to hear from you guys. And I mean, that goes both ways. Like, I could trust that, you know, despite, like you said, all the shit that kind of went down and other performers and things that went over, I could trust you guys to be on top of your game. I could trust you to do a 2-minute turnaround and then still knock out a solid show and kind of not have my head on the chopping block shooting daggers across that mini stage. And,
I really feel like you had our back.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
without fail, night after night.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's nice. Okay, so we all feel pretty good about each other. That's a good start.
We all like each other.
It would be really fucking hard if we came on and we were all like, yeah, we don't really want to be here. We don't really want to talk to each other. That'd be interesting.
Oh,
that'd be real interesting. So, just to bring the listeners up to speed, this podcast is based on the premise of my award-winning cabaret show, The Catch-a-the-Rat. Yolanda's dancing. Where I talk and sing about my first love to what I thought was happy ever after and everything in between, and I fucking mean everything. Just for the listeners, this is based on the show. So the things that we'll be talking about will, you know, be topics that we covered in the cabaret show. If you didn't see the cabaret show, that's okay. We're coming back next year. So there's plenty of times next year. Hopefully COVID doesn't, you know, ruin round 2. But, the idea, 2021, we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back.
COVID will be like a whole, I feel like it'll be a sequel. Like Happily Ever After in COVID.
Yeah, well, you know, I wouldn't even fucking know.
How would you even go about?
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, you're not supposed to, like, you're not supposed to touch each other. So how are you supposed to get?
No, people don't care about touching each other. It's the breathing. There was a senator or a mayor or some type of politician in America. She's like, because, obviously the loneliness epidemic is getting worse as well, and people's mental health and things. And so they're encouraging people to kind of hook up and date. And she's just like, you guys can have sex, just wear masks and don't kiss. Like,
what? That's such a turn on.
Can you imagine?
Thank you.
Amazing eyeballs that you can get lost in if you've got a mask on. Like, fuck me, man.
No, but I mean, and I was laughing because I'm like, either she's just exposed her own kink, and I mean, no shade, I love the kink community, or she's just kind of really misinformed about kind of the intricacies of the whole process. I was just like, yeah, that's going to come back to bite you.
Yeah, I definitely have to say, and look, we're going to overshare as much as everyone's comfortable, and I'm happy to share everything. So you'll hear a lot of stuff that y'all will probably be like, what the fuck? But yeah, if you can't kiss me, I'm not even going to get in the mood. Like, that's
exactly my thing. I love a good kiss. That's
Yolandi.
Now we just remember.
I don't know. I can't, like you said, I can't imagine like being turned on or even just being affectionate towards somebody without some type of like physical interaction, a kiss, whether it's a kiss on the neck or on the hands or anything like that. Yeah.
So, Yolandi, could you tell me, can you remember who your first crush was or your first love? Can you walk us down that story, that part of your life?
My first crush, I think I was in grade 4 in South Africa, way back when. And I remember very vividly the fact that I thought I had a crush on this person because I was supposed to have a crush. Because everybody else, had crushes and things like that. And so I was like, he's kind of like a friend, but he's really funny. He's really cute. His name was Chris. And then I was like, I'm going to kind of, pluck up the courage to ask him out.
Yeah.
And because I was brave and stupid and naive back then, little did I know, I asked him out, and I was really genuine about it. And he laughed in my face.
No.
He ran off to all of his friends and he went and told them that, Yolandi had asked him out. And it was the most hilarious thing to them. And I looked at him. I was livid. My little fucking 9-year-old self was livid. And luckily, I was also smart back then. So I just turned around. I'm like, haha, joke's on you. It's April the 1st. It was a joke. Like,
Yeah, girl.
I was like, I don't know. I don't think any of them bought it. But I was like, I'm just going to save my skin.
Yeah, that's pretty good. For 9 years old.
I'm impressed.
Well done, Yolandi.
That scarred me, I have to say. Whenever it then kind of came to like crushes and things, I was very cautious.
Oh, right.
So more circumspect.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have, from that point, so fucking Chris has made you not,
Well, not even fucking Chris. I think, well, yeah, I feel like I was traumatized by Chris and I'll never trust another man again. But yeah, it's never been kind of a thing where, until I was older, until much more recently, where I felt a crush as an actual emotional connection, as an actual physical attraction. When I was younger, it was much more a thing of just, you kind of have to have a crush because everybody has crushes. But I didn't, because my parents didn't raise us that way.
Yolandi, do you think that was a cultural thing? Because I remember my parents being the fucking opposite and like...
Really?
As in...
I think it is a cultural thing. I think South Africa is a lot more conservative than it would like to lead itself on, especially with regards to things like sexuality, people getting together. Yeah.
Were not about you having a crush? I must have missed it.
No. They weren't bothered by it. They didn't raise us to be like, they never brought up us being in relationships. When parents always kind of tease kids on the playground, it's like, oh, is that your boyfriend? Is that your girlfriend? They never did that with us. They never made that our kind of primary thing. They always told us things to strive for is, what makes you happy? What makes you want to play? What makes you feel safe? And that very often didn't involve other kids. It very often involved just us kind of being together as a family. And so that was never the influence that I got, like, oh, people got into relationships was only through like school interactions. Yeah. And it's only now that we're like alone, that my mother is slowly coming out of the woodwork going, Yolandi, aren't you lonely? Don't you want to go on Tinder or Bumble? I'm like, no. I honestly don't.
Yeah. It's glad to know about that.
Yeah.
So, in keeping in theme with the show, part of the show went into my Prince Charming, what I thought was my happy ever after. Do you think that there is? Do you believe in happy ever after? What are your thoughts on all that, Yolandi?
I do believe in happily ever after. I am a romantic at heart. I love a good romance novel. But I think it is a lot of work. I think it's a constant effort. I think it's choosing that person every day. I don't think it is something that you just get to settle in and be complacent in. Because for me, one thing that's very important for me that I think I want to carry over into my relationships is constant growth and self-development. And I expect that from the other person as well. I expect us to be able to grow together, to change together. I don't want to look, 5 years down the line back and be like, oh shit, we're the same people. We have the same habits. We eat the same shit. We do the same things. I don't want that. And I think as soon as you kind of fall into that complacency and you start to stagnate, I think you're setting yourself up for disaster.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting that you've got that practicality that you speak about and the realism and the fact that people evolve through different circumstances. It changes people, yet you still have I believe in happy ever after, because to me, those two things are different. Do you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Yeah. I just, because as soon as I hear happy ever after or happily ever after, I think of Cinderella and Prince Charming and those kind of happy ever after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm assuming your happy ever after is not that fairy tale per se. Is that correct?
That is very correct, because my dreams got dashed. My dreams got dashed in my first year of studying drama back in South Africa. And we had this professor, I'm going to throw him under the bus, but he's an absolute legend of a man. His name is Dr. Chris Broodryk. He's a very down-to-earth, very pragmatic, very solid guy, but he's sneaky. He's sneaky as. You can't pull one over on him because it'll just backfire on you. But we had a whole semester on, what was it called? I don't know if it was like the myth of the romantic comedy. Why romantic comedies are the most dangerous genre in cinema history. And we deconstructed, we spent a whole semester deconstructing every single kind of top grossing romantic comedy in terms of, its problematic sort of gender construction, gender roles, its misogyny, its misandry, its, sexual harassment, it is lack of consent, it is this whole kind of warped idea that, love at first sight and that, infidelity and we were shook that semester. I don't think any of us kind of retained our childlike Disney innocence with that. So I think that changed a lot. I mean, it became a lot more practical and pragmatic. Like you said, I think it is a cultural thing, and I think a lot of it has to do with my parents. I think we had a great example in them in terms of how they constantly grew, constantly changed with the time, with their kids. And I feel like that's the kind of fairy tale that I want. I mean, there's a quote that somebody said on Twitter, is like, I never want to be madly in love again. I want to be sanely in love, you know? So I think I want that as well. I want to be safe in love. Yeah. Fuck you, Chris. I'm not taking a chance.
Brilliant. No, I love that. Feeling safe in love is so important. That you just, you've articulated that beautifully, I think, Yolandi.
Definitely.
That's spot on. Okay, let's pivot a little bit from happy ever after. Let's have a talk about dick pics. Have you ever received them?
No. Thank fuck.
Yeah,
I've never received them.
I feel very blessed to answer that question the same way.
Yeah. Okay, so seeing as you haven't received them, what do you think your response would be if you did?
Oh, probably something sarcastic and very problematic.
Yeah.
I don't actually know, because my best friend, he gets a lot of them for some very odd reason. Also because I think, firstly, I've secluded myself kind of from that sort of realm. I've never been on Tinder or Bumble or anything like that. So I felt like I've never opened myself to that. But also a lot of the guys and things that I do meet, they find me intimidating, and I feel like they would test their boundaries. I have had a friend in the past test boundaries in terms of like sending nudes and things like that, and I shut him down real quick. Yeah, real quick. Mm-hmm. So I think that kind of got around. It's like, yeah, that's not the way to go. I feel like I would take the piss out of the guy, absolutely, and then I would just like block and delete.
Yes, yeah, block and delete. Yeah, that's my response. Block and delete. I still don't quite understand it. Like I've had one bisexual friend explain to me that it is to show excitement. And I'm like, well, you can show excitement and appreciation for somebody without sending an unsolicited, unwanted for phallus penis. Like there are other ways. There are other ways, because my thing is like, if you're just randomly flashing people like over the internet, I can't trust you when I take you out to dinner that you're not going to flash the waitress. Yeah. And then I'm going to get footed with the fucking bill, and I'm going to have to talk to the police and tell them, no, it's fine. He's house trained. I'm sorry, I just forgot to like put water in his kennel. Fuck. I don't know.
I just don't understand why they think that is what we want to see.
Yeah.
You know, surely there are other things
that we want to see. Yeah. Yes.
I think when you lack personality, that's kind of the only thing that you can lead with. You're like, okay, I have nothing else to offer you. I can reproduce with you. And I'm like, technically, I don't need you for that. So apart from that, like Deborah Frances White, who wrote The Guilty Feminist, she often says it's like, anything is a dildo if you're brave enough. And so I'm like, I don't need your unsolicited dick pic, bro. I really don't. That's just going to put me off so badly, because it's that's also my thing. It's the first thing that they send to like open a conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where must this conversation go? That's my thing. If I'm thinking of like a story arc, if this is your prologue, your entry point,
where are we going?
Where does it go? Yeah. Where's the climax? Because the climax is not going to happen in the conversation. So is there a plan, boys? Boys, are there a plan?
Is there a fucking plan? I'm gonna ask some of these future guests that come on. I'll be like, so what's the plan from the dick pic? Like where is it supposed to go from there? That's a good question, Yolandi. I don't. Obviously, we don't have the answers because we're women.
I feel like if I do get one in the future, that's just what I'm going to ask. I'm just honestly, how does the conversation unfold from here? Do I reply with a photo of my dick? Do I?
All the collage that you collected over time, you know.
Yeah, just I wonder what would happen if you like just sent him back somebody else's dick pic. It's like, here you go.
That would be pure genius, actually.
When Vince and I were talking about the show and the stage stuff and what we were going to have tech-wise and whatnot, there was a point in time where we were thinking about having different dicks show up, like projected onto the back of the stage or the back of the venue or whatever, while I was telling the story about the dick pics. And I still think that's a good idea.
I was actually about to say, I'm really glad you did it. to say that.
No, we wouldn't see it. You would be behind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, that's different then.
Or
I don't have to look at them.
We're just going to put like a 2 triangle dick pics behind you, lady, on the piano, just like to frame you in this halo of penis.
Or we were thinking of like when people got to their seat having a different dick on each seat.
Oh shit. I don't know how many trigger warnings or I don't know, adult content warnings you're going to have to put on your flyers then.
I'm not going to get some men to sit underneath each seat, you know, like a glory hole.
You should do that. I feel like use all these subtle ways to it really just pulls people into the story, into the uncomfortable sort of situation that you're sitting with. Oh, guys.
So, Yolandi, before you kind of touched on how devastated you were with the crush and the way that he messed with you and went and laughed about you, you know, saying that you liked him and asking him out and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about heartbreak, I think. Do you feel like you have ever truly been heartbroken, or have you broken somebody else's heart, or both?
I don't think I've ever broken anybody else's heart. Okay, first, let me premise all of this because I feel like it'll give a greater context to any and all answers I give from here on out. And this will probably throw you guys for a loop as well. I feel like it's going to throw all your questions out. I've never actually been in a relationship.
Gotcha.
Yes. Dun, dun, dun. And people are always very surprised by that. I'm not. But that's my kind of thing. That's why I say I don't think I've ever like broken anybody's heart, because obviously I've never been in a relationship although there's one person in my life that I can remember that actually did say that they liked me and I rejected them.
Yeah.
That was kind of the only time that and I was really disappointed in myself because it was a couple of years ago. How old was I? 20 or something. I was 20, and this person came up to me and they were acting really, really strange. Like for a couple of weeks leading up to the whole moment, they were acting real strange. And I mean, they're a strange person to begin with, so that was really shooting for the stars. And it dawned on me the one day that, oh shit, they actually do like me, before they'd even said anything. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this, because I genuinely don't feel the same.
Yeah.
But I was kind of, in that sense, I was disappointed in myself, because I was like, here's the opportunity, because they were one of my best friends. Here's the opportunity to be with this amazing, vibrant, fantastic, funny, smart human being. And you can't bring yourself to kind of feel the same way. And that was my thing. I didn't want to be dishonest and be like, oh yeah, no, let's be together, when it was really kind of just me feeling out the waters. So I was real honest with them, and I told them that I didn't feel the same, and I felt as heartbroken as they did, because I just felt like, that sucks, bro.
Yeah, but you can't force yourself to feel something that you don't feel, no matter how.
And it's also not fair to them. You know, it's not fair to them.
You did them
But any heartbreak that I've ever experienced, I think was only in my head. I think was only when I projected a crush onto somebody else. That day, they did not know anything about. Yeah. And then when they did not reciprocate my imaginary advances, I felt very heartbroken.
Oh, Blossom. So do you think it has to, the fact that you haven't gotten into a relationship before, do you think that has to do with the experience you had from the first crush situation?
No, I don't think that much. I just, I reframed it when I went through hypnotherapy. I reframed it in the terms of like, that was his choice. That was his reaction. He didn't feel the same. I do think it kind of changed my relationship towards approaching people. I can say probably, but I don't think it left that much of an indelible mark. That I've only rejected people. I've been away from. There's genuinely just never been interest, like either on my side or other people's side, as far as I'm aware. Maybe I'm just a blind bitch. I don't know. But I don't know, because my grandmother would always tell me, like in shopping centers, like, Yolandi, that guy's looking at you. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know? You're 86. Firstly, and secondly, no, he's not. And so I don't know, maybe the guy was looking at me, maybe not, but there were never any overt advances, and I never made any overt advances. Because I didn't feel compelled to. I didn't feel attracted to anybody in that way. And also, I think it was very much a conservative culture thing, because I didn't feel that pressure kind of from family or friends, to be quite honest, to be in a relationship. I was just like, why bother? And it only when you kind of get older, you're like, you know what, it'd be nice to cuddle somebody right now.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, 100%. Lainey, do you have any questions for Yolandi while we've got her here?
Yes. I was going to ask, what was the most relatable catch that you remember from the show for you? Did you have one that sort of you related to?
She's testing it.
I know.
Let's go.
You know, you're testing one. Can you run through the catches?
We were doing the same.
Like, catch number 1, family is tricky. Catch number 2, can't fucking remember me.
So there was home, there was family, there was dick pics, which we've kind of covered already. Catfish. There was, let's have a look at my notes.
Too much?
Yeah, being too much for somebody. Time. I think I mentioned that already.
I think probably my biggest catch would be, in that sense, being too much for somebody.
Yeah.
I genuinely do think so. Because I think the way that I've set up my life and the way that I'm kind of putting myself forward in the world, it's going to take a very, very special person in order, you know, to work with me, to accommodate them into my life and to integrate me into theirs.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I definitely think being too much, because you do kind of get that thing, people are like, oh, you're intimidating. It's like, oh, you're too smart. Oh, you're too this. I'm like, no, you're just not enough.
Yeah. I get a lot from dudes, you overthink things or you read into things too much. I have an analytical brain. That's my fault. I want to know people's original intention for why they say things or why they react to a certain way, and that's just how I'm wired. So I hear that a lot from dudes. I hear that.
But I get what you mean with the over analytics, because also you want to be clear. You want that honesty and that authenticity. You don't want to have to second guess what the person's saying. So the thing is, if I have to ask you for clarity on something, that's a miscommunication between us, and that's something that we need to kind of work on. But also, it shouldn't be a problem to work on it, you know? It shouldn't be a whole issue for me to ask you to just explain something to me that I'm not getting, or that I'm not understanding how you're feeling in that moment. It shouldn't be a whole big issue. It should be a conversation that we can have and move past.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm definitely not, if a dude is looking for a woman that just bats her eyelids and just agrees
Oh,
with
fuck no.
their partner says I'm the wrong chick then. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I know where my strengths and weaknesses are, and if it doesn't right with you, that's fine. Like, next.
And I think the too much
Thank you.
is pretty relative, yeah. Is what we do.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
our
correct.
career choice.
Yeah.
You know, I can certainly relate to that. The too much thing, being very much too much.
Yeah,
in my romantic life.
It's soul destroying, isn't it? Hearing that stuff, it's soul destroying.
It is, yeah. But in that sense, I feel like it's also a thing of like, you have your standards. You have things that you won't settle for, and I don't think you should settle for any less. And that's my thing. It's like, I'm not willing to settle for good enough. I am a romantic. I want ecstatic. I want glorious. I want fulfilling. I want fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm not going to settle for, want to hang.
Yeah.
No, mate, I don't.
Thank you. I don't want to hang out with you. If you want to pursue me, fucking date me, or don't worry about it. That's my attitude. Yeah. We seem like we're on the same page, Yolandi, with that stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
See.
So, seeing as we're talking about the show again, should we share with the listeners the lovely behind-the-scenes things that were happening? Should we go down that road, or should we leave that?
All the lovely behind the scenes. I love behind the scenes. That's why I work in tech. Be my guest. Let's spill the tea.
So we can't, obviously, for numerous reasons, we're not going to mention names. We're not going to mention which venue it was, because, you know, we don't want that to negatively reflect on that venue, and we don't want any, you know, repercussions
or animosity.
But,
you know, but thank God for Yolandi. She kept us calm.
That's because Yolandi can't be bothered. She's like, you know what, if things going to shit, it's gonna go to shit.
Yes.
So,
Really stressing about it.
Yeah.
Just
So what?
roll with the punches.
How many times do you think we did those 2-minute turnarounds without even the sound check or whatever? How many times do you think we did that?
at least 4 or 5 times in a row.
I reckon. And even when it's brought to someone's attention,
multiple times.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, why would you come and do a show and literally not give a fuck if you are running on time or not? And like purposely standing outside the venue, having a smoke, and not giving a shit that there's like 5 shows after you, and if you're out of time, then everybody else is out of time. And then because it's the Fringe, people book one show after the other and work out a time difference to get to all these shows, and then you lose audience members. Like, it's, I don't understand.
That was my thing exactly, and that's what bothered me more than anything, more than kind of the scrambling to do sound, you know, changing sets, cleaning up after people, which is also very fucking inconsiderate when you know that there's such a tight turnaround to make a mess of the stage. I'm like, you can adapt. You don't need the sand. You don't need the confetti. You don't need fucking glitter on the floor when the next show, you know, is not going to use that. My thing is, above and beyond all of that, it's a thing of mutual respect. It's a thing of you're entitled and you're arrogant when you take that time from somebody, when you take that attention and you're just like, soz, deal with it. I'm like,
And it didn't just affect, like, if that show was on and that was the only show that was on that night, it's not an issue. But because there were so many shows on afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, if you're the last show, fine, by all means. Then all you have to worry about is that you're pissing me off because I want to get home as well. But if it's the beginning of the evening, you need to be cognizant of the fact that things need to run, you know? Yeah. And I'm sorry if your parents or your friends and things are late to the venue. We can't hold the doors for 10, 15 minutes. We can't. Like you said, people have places to be. We have things to set up. You're not the only person in that venue. It's a mutual respect thing. Like, you respect others, they respect you, because everybody's paying or being paid to be there.
Correct.
So it's a huge slap in the face. It's a huge slap in the face, whether or not it's fringe, whether or not, it's the most acclaimed this or that venue, person, performance, whatever. I don't care what it is. There's a baseline that you need to kind of uphold.
Because it was mentioned a couple of times that, there's people behind you. We need to make sure that we are keeping the show a tight hour and starting on time, yet that was just
Yeah. I don't know if we're talking about the same person. I think we are. But then you come into another person's show and then disrupt that show as well. Are we talking about the same person?
Yeah, yes, we are.
Yeah, yes, fantastic. That really, I was so tempted.
People interrupt the show though. Like the amount of times those two.
And it was only your show. It was only your show that got interrupted that much by, whether it was by drunk sort of car races or whether it was by audience members or whether it was by fucking tour groups or whatever. Yours was the only one that was really adversely affected so much. And I don't know why. It was the dick pics. It brought them on.
Time slot, maybe it was the time slot.
I think also the venue was trying to have too many things going at the same time.
Yeah, correct.
As well, yeah. I feel like there should have been a bit more real. Although, not even. I feel like there was a lot happening. They could have given more time to bump in and bump out.
Right.
Just because above and beyond getting performers in and out, you have to get audience members in and out. And there are a lot of fucking stairs and things like that, and accessibility and mobility of people. People want to chat afterwards, especially because it's such an intimate, fringe is such an intimate kind of setting between performers and audience members. People want to linger and talk and engage, and that's all fine and well, but it's not really realistic when you have a booked schedule.
Yeah, there's so much we could say on all that. There's so much we could say. Yeah, it's interesting how different venues are run very differently, and the expectations of the artists and how they conduct themselves and
Cognizance.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's just interesting. Like I'm surprised. Not surprised, but it was a delightful gift to win the Best Cabaret Weekly Award at the Fringe, because we had so much stuff.
So much, yeah.
So many people randomly come into the stage space, interrupt the show numerous times in one show.
Steal the power source from my keyboard, so I used a toy keyboard.
Oh my God. And we that night.
Yep.
And I was like, we're going to have to cancel the show because we don't have a fucking keyboard now. Like it was,
You got to just borrow a flute. Oh, no, but that's why I was so stoked when you won that. And honestly, because I ran a whole couple of shows, I was like, that was just deserved. That was absolutely, I was like, you know what, out of all the decisions that I've seen made, during that sort of course, I was like, this was a good one. And I was so proud to kind of have been a part of it and been like, yes, do it.
So much a part of that.
So
we couldn't
much.
have done it without you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yolandi, do you have any questions for us?
Ooh.
Do I have questions for you? I didn't prepare any questions.
I know that's not usually how these things roll, but I thought, for the flow of the conversation. Oh, okay, I've got another one. So do you think that, how you touched on before your parents' relationship and how you looked at their relationship, do you think then that people just mirror or echo, so to speak, the relationships that they have as an example in their life? Do you think it is a choice that we can choose the type of relationships we have?
I think it's a choice to grow into your own person,
Right.
and choose your own people.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this because I don't think that the relationships, like for my brother and my sister, reflect my parents' relationship if we had to kind of take them as an example.
Sure.
I don't think they do, and I don't think my relationships will either, because they raised us so independently and so kind of in a way that they gave us space to kind of find ourselves and find what works for us. So I think you choose your person, you choose what happiness means to you, what love means to you. And I think if you can kind of detach it from any external expectation, whether it's expectation or example from parents or friends, if you can create your little bubble of intimacy with this other person, I think that's solid.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So obviously, because you're in Victoria, it's a lot harder.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot harder to stumble across, you know, a man in old century on a horse, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised. Victorian police love their horses for some odd reason. That's always the strangest fucking thing to me. No, but that's also the thing. Why I was genuinely pissed about this, because I was really excited to come to Melbourne, you know, to study and to meet new people and, you know, to lay the foundation of my career and all of that. But I was also fundamentally excited to be away from friends and family so that I could
Just be yourself.
Experiment kind of with relationships and people without kind of having these hawk eyes on me. And now all of that's just been ripped away. So even just the idea of like in acting class, you know, we got to do scenes, like kissing scenes or lovemaking scenes or anything like, you know, to build up experience and things so that you're not all of a sudden shocked on set or things like that. Now all of a sudden, all of those things, kind of anything or everything that I thought I knew about kind of building connection with people in intimate spaces, all of those things have been ripped away.
Yeah.
Like we had 4 weeks worth of class during restrictions back in like March, April, June, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was so awkward. We couldn't get close to each other. And some of us had like really intimate scenes where you kind of just have to lean into the other person, where it's really kind of about the connection between those two. And we couldn't. They had to stay like a meter apart. And every time you saw somebody kind of wanted to reach or to lean in, you could just see them and go, COVID. And then they pull back. And I was just so disappointed by that. I was like, ah.
Yeah, some of my favorite memories from university when I was doing acting was those intimate scenes with your classmates, because they were hilarious. Like you end up really close, like you end up closer friendship wise than before.
Yeah.
But man, like you go places that you wouldn't necessarily go in real life when you are performing and doing what it says on the script, you know.
Exactly. And for me, above and beyond kind of the superficial gratification that all of those things kind of give, I've always been a very self-contained person.
Yeah, right.
So for me, being able to kind of explore those scripts and those types of scenes that are more geared towards intimacy and partnership and those types of things, it was an opportunity for me to, how can I say, kind of break out of my own shell in a safe space where I could kind of trial and error different type of, you know, connecting with people in a way that isn't actually detrimental to my actual real life. Yeah. Like there, I could ask Chris out, and if he laughed at me, I would just be like, cut, and go on about my day. You know? Oh,
Yes, I do. I do know
I
exactly.
feel like I'm giving Chris way too much airtime. Fucking hell.
He's not deserving.
I wonder if you ever listen to this, you'll be like, oh my God, I can't even remember.
I don't even know if this person still exists. For all I know, he got hit by a tractor back in South Africa. I don't
Fuck you, Andy. Jesus, that's morbid. Okay.
Shit happens. You clearly never been on a South African road. Oh, good shit.
Okay.
Oh.
Right. Okay. Good note. Good note for all those women out there. Don't bank on a South African man because Yolandi reckons they're going to be run over by tractors. Well done.
He does. I don't get the feeling that he would be the kind of, left, right, left entity. He'll just be like on his phone with a beer in hand, smack across the road.
So you're saying he's an alcoholic now? Is that where we're going with this? As you're an alcoholic.
Oh, shame. He's probably a lovely person if he is still with us. He is probably a lovely person and he probably does have a girlfriend or something. I really can't care though. I'd prefer to get with the tractor driver. I'd be like, yes.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'm glad we've established you'd prefer the tractor driver over Chris. That's good. What is
I do. I prefer a little bad boy so that I can break the rules.
Oh, okay. So can you give us a description of Chris? Can you remember what he looks like, just for the listeners, like so they can?
Oh God.
You know.
What does a 9-year-old boy look like?
Oh, shit. Yeah, I don't know. You tell us.
What was it about him that captured your heart and made it beat fast?
Ooh.
Fuck all. Literally just social pressure. Literally just social pressure. Because I had all of 2 friends. I had all of 2 or 3 friends. The one was my best friend. We're not friends anymore, but he and I, on our first day of school, we sat next to each other and the teacher was talking. We looked at each other and we're like, do you want to be friends? He's like, yeah, do you want to be friends? I'm like, yeah. And we were friends. We were best friends for like 7 years. And so, what did I want to say? He would have probably been the first choice, but I was like, no, that's my best mate. So that's not going to happen. And I always used to help him get girls. I used to write poems and bring flowers to girls for him. I was a fantastic wingman. And so Chris was just another friend. And so I was like, you know what? You'll do.
You'll do.
Oh no!
I know what he looks like. I want a mental picture to be painted for me, Yolandi.
Oh, I feel like I'm going to paint him so badly, but I don't care. Kind of short, mousy brown hair.
Right.
Like really, I feel like his hair would have been very coarse. I don't know. I think he had blue or green eyes.
Yeah.
I don't even fucking remember. He was a little white boy. So I should have said, like pale bitch. He had kind of a triangular head. Now that I'm thinking about it, like his forehead was a little bit wider than if you had to like slope it down, and not in an attractive way. Because I mean, he's 9 years old. So it's triangular and then round and then just square off.
Wow.
He was a thinnish guy. I think he did do sport, but he wasn't a rugby player. I do not remember anything about, apart from kind of general description about this human, which I'm thankful for. It means I've either repressed it really well or I've dealt with it really well.
Excellent. Excellent. All I can see, the way that you painted that is just a cartoon. I feel like it's a diploma. That's what I'm seeing in my head.
Well, I mean, I feel like that wouldn't be far off from my actual romantic life. It is just a cartoon. It's like Roadrunner.
Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight, this afternoon,
Aww.
morning, whenever people are listening to this podcast. You've been an absolutely delightful guest. We have loved every second with you, and your insights have been beautiful.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. It's so good to see you guys again.
Good to see you too, Yolandi.
Yeah, we've missed you. It's been nice to send you those little videos of us in rehearsals.
Oh, they literally then make my life so much better. Oh, thank you guys.
Anything to next was the best.
Brilliant.
Oh, that just, I literally, I think about that so much when I'm just like, when things happen, when I get emails from like spammers or whatever, I'm like, thank you, next, delete, thank you. So I feel like I've integrated it really well just into my life in general. Like when I see shit happens or when I hear the crazy people screaming out in the street, I'm just like, thank you, next.
Yolandi, that's fucking hilarious. Do you have any final questions for Yolandi before we go?
Oh, good. It's been very interesting.
Yeah, it's been very insightful.
Very succinct as well.
And we managed not to get cancelled. We managed not to name drop any problematic people. I'm proud of us.
Yeah, who knows what's going to happen when this goes to air, Yolandi? We might be cancelled. Nah.
Well, but I mean, point is, if the shoe fits, wear it. If it doesn't, get out of the closet.
Correct.
That's all I'll say.
That's a lovely note to end on.
Love you guys so much.
The Catch-a-Lorette with friends near and far, from heartache to catfish and sex toys. The Catch-a-Lorette and friends. See you next time if you dare.
Bank of the West is offering the 1% for the Planet checking account. It gives back 1% of the account's net revenue to the planet at no cost to you. There's no monthly service charge with any deposit per statement, and there's no minimum balance required. The 1% for the Planet checking account, only from Bank of the West. Learn more at bankofthewest.com/1%. Additional conditions apply. Member FDIC.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.